So for the last, I don't know, 2 decades maybe, the smartest people in business have basically been telling us that physical retail was dead.
Oh, yeah, completely dead. Software is eating the world, right?
Right. E-commerce was this absolute ultimate goal, and
Yep.
physical storefronts were just seen as these outdated, incredibly expensive relics of the past.
Just massive liabilities holding you back.
Exactly. But today, we are seeing this massive, honestly fascinating reversal. Highly successful digitally native e-commerce brands are aggressively trying to transition into old-school brick-and-mortar sales.
It's wild the brands that supposedly killed the traditional store are now desperately trying to build them.
Yeah, they're hunting for physical storefronts. They want to be in traditional paper catalogs, which is crazy. And they're even pushing their way into, like, TV shopping networks.
And you know, when you actually look at the skyrocketing customer acquisition costs online right now, it makes complete financial sense. I mean, buying digital ads is just getting prohibitively expensive.
So true. But making that leap from the virtual world to the physical one, it's it's completely perilous if you don't understand the fundamental shift in physics between the internet and a physical street.
Perilous is a good word for it. It's a totally different ballgame.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're leading on some really great research today from the retail consultancy Retailbound. Specifically, we're looking at a comprehensive guide by Johann Jacob on how to transition from e-commerce to brick and mortar without, bankrupting your company.
Which is a very real possibility.
Yeah. So the mission for this deep dive is to basically give you a roadmap. If you're running a digital brand or maybe you're investing in one, how do you actually make this jump successfully?
Right, because the barrier to entry is arguably lower than ever right now. You have these highly flexible commercial leases, turnkey POS systems, endless retail data.
You can basically rent a storefront for a weekend now.
Exactly. But preparation is literally the only difference between massive, scalable growth and a highly public, super expensive disaster.
Yeah, you can't just copy and paste a digital playbook into a 2,000 square foot lease.
No, absolutely not. And that's the trap, right? E-commerce is fundamentally a machine that is built on convenience.
Right, you're engineering for speed.
Speed, frictionless checkout, accessibility. You want people in and out of your sales funnel in like 3 clicks.
Yeah, but physical retail is incredibly tactile. It is this completely immersive sensory experience.
Oh, for sure. People walk in because they actually want to feel the weight of the fabric or smell the store or see how the lighting hits the product.
Think about the absolute control you have online, right? You dictate the exact lighting through your retouched product photography.
Yeah, you literally force the narrative through your copy. You control the whole journey.
But in a physical space,
Yeah.
you hand almost all of that control over to the customer. They're picking up your product, looking at the packaging from these unflattering angles, dealing with the ambient noise of the store.
The temperature of the room, the mood of the person behind the register. You are no longer just fulfilling an order, You're curating a whole physical environment.
The way I look at it, it's like the difference between being a highly efficient warehouse dispatcher and suddenly deciding to host a high-stakes dinner party.
Ooh, I like that.
Because, like, as a dispatcher, you get an order on your screen, you throw the item in a poly mailer, slap a label on it, and ship it out. You never even see the customer.
Right, they're just data on a screen.
Exactly. But at the dinner party,
Yeah.
you have to actually entertain the real live people standing right in your living room.
Yeah.
You have to care if the music is too loud or if the lighting is giving your guests a headache.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to realize that the guest list for that dinner party looks entirely different than your online customer base.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, e-commerce naturally skews toward a demographic that is highly comfortable buying sight unseen. So that's usually younger, tech-forward consumers.
Well,
right?
sure, people who trust the algorithm.
Exactly. But a physical store drags in a completely different cross-section of humanity. You're suddenly getting foot traffic from people walking by who, I don't know, don't even have an Instagram account.
Right, or people who just strongly prefer physical browsing on a Saturday afternoon with their family.
Right. And if you design your physical store catering exclusively to your hyper-specific online demographic, you alienate the local foot traffic that actually pays your rent.
Wow, yeah. So understanding that demographic and sensory shift really has to be the absolute foundation of your strategy.
100%. If you don't adjust your merchandising to appeal to the people actually walking down that specific street, the store fails.
So before you even think about looking at commercial real estate, how do you know if your brand is actually ready to host this party? I mean, it is super fun to brainstorm window
Oh
displays.
yeah, the aesthetic stuff is the fun part.
Right. Until you realize you can't actually stock the shelves.
Yeah, you start with a brutal scalability check. Most e-commerce operations run on a highly centralized inventory model.
So like one main warehouse somewhere in Ohio.
Right, you have one fulfillment center, or maybe a 3PL handling everything for the entire country. But brick and mortar requires localized stock spread across multiple geographic locations.
Plus the backroom inventory, plus display models on the floor. It adds up fast.
Exactly. So you have to aggressively interrogate your supplier relationships. Like, can your current manufacturing partners handle a sudden 40% surge in order volume to fill those new physical shelves?
And without compromising quality or missing delivery dates, which is huge.
Because an empty physical store is a disaster.
So let's say you run those numbers and your supply chain can easily take the hit. You still have to figure out where to actually drop the pin on the map.
And this is where digital-first brands seem to get massive whiplash.
Because online, your location doesn't matter. You sell to literally anyone with a Wi-Fi connection. But in retail, your zip code is your destiny.
It really is. You have to align the local demographics of a specific neighborhood, like the average income, the lifestyle, the foot traffic patterns, with your brand's target market.
Which means doing deep, localized market research. You can't just rely on national online trends to tell you what a specific suburb in Texas wants.
No, not at all. You need customer surveys specific to that target zip code. You need to actually analyze the foot traffic of a specific commercial block on, say, a Tuesday afternoon versus a Saturday night.
Wait, hold on. A lot of the strategy out there talks about competitor proximity specifically, setting up shop near similar businesses.
Right, the clustering effect.
But wait, why would I want to set up shop near other businesses fighting for the same dollars? If I sell premium athletic wear, shouldn't I find a neighborhood where I'm the only athletic wear store so I can capture 100% of the demand?
I mean, it feels incredibly counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But that is actually a fundamental misunderstanding of retail psychology.
Really? How so?
Well, being the only store of your kind in a 10-mile radius means a customer has to make a very deliberate special trip just for you.
Oh, I see.
And if they walk in and don't buy anything, their entire trip was a waste of time. But if you cluster near complementary businesses, and yes, even direct competitors, you create what the industry calls a retail destination.
Oh, like why every single car dealership in a town is located on the exact same 2-mile stretch of highway.
Exactly. Or why food courts are so successful. Customers fundamentally want to comparison shop.
Right, they want options.
So if you drop your athletic wear store next to a premium gym, a boutique health food store, and maybe even a rival fitness apparel brand, you are drafting off of their foot traffic.
The cross-pollination must be huge.
Mhm.
So excessive direct competition in a tiny, saturated market is dangerous, sure.
Yeah, you don't want to be the fifth coffee shop on a single block.
Right. But a strategic cluster of related businesses drives the overall traffic volume up for everyone. You want to be where the people who buy your type of product are already habitually going anyway.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You become part of their routine.
Okay, so you find that perfect cluster. You sign the lease
Yeah.
based on the data. Now you have an empty concrete box that you have to somehow turn into a physical manifestation of a website your customers already know and love.
And the visual branding has to be a flawless one-to-one match.
Like the logos, the colors.
The exact color palettes, the typography on your signage, even the tone of voice your employees use. It all has to perfectly align with your digital identity.
Because brand trust is incredibly fragile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine a customer who loves your sleek, minimalist website.
Right, they have this image of you in their head.
Yeah. And if they walk into your new physical store and it feels cluttered, poorly lit, and visually chaotic, you fracture that trust instantly. It honestly feels like a bait and switch.
It really does. But here's where it gets really interesting, though. The secret to a successful physical store today isn't just about good lighting and minimalist shelves. It's about relying heavily on digital technology to blend the two worlds together.
Right. You're actively injecting things like interactive kiosks, digital catalogs, self-checkout stations.
And mobile apps that let people scan items right there in the aisle for product info. You are actively removing the friction of the physical world by using the tools of the digital world.
That makes total sense. Think about the psychology of a modern shopper. If they want to know if a sweater comes in a different color, A surprisingly large percentage of them do not want to flag down a store associate.
No, they hate that. They don't want to interrupt them and make small talk. That is social friction.
They just want to tap an iPad mounted on the clothing rack, see the inventory in real time, and tap a button to have someone bring it out from the back.
Precisely. You preserve that frictionless, somewhat antisocial convenience of e-commerce, but you surround it with the tactile, immediate benefits of physical retail.
And the cross-promotion becomes this massive flywheel, right?
Well, that's the best part.
You use your digital presence to blast your millions of followers about exclusive in-store events, which drives your internet fans into the real world.
And then when someone random walks in off the street, you hit them with a QR code for an online discount. Or you get them into a digital loyalty program right at the register.
You suddenly have them buying online next month. Each channel constantly feeds the other.
That omni-channel approach is the holy grail of modern business. But it brings us to the underlying architecture that makes all of this possible.
The unglamorous stuff.
Right, because a beautifully designed, high-tech store with perfectly aligned brand identity is completely worthless if the shelves are empty.
Oof, yeah. Or worse, imagine a customer buys a $300 jacket online, selects in-store pickup, drives 20 minutes to your location.
And finds out the website inventory data was wrong and you don't actually have it in the back.
That is exactly how you lose a customer for life. And it really highlights why the back-end logistics of this transition are so critical. Inventory management becomes this incredibly high-wire balancing act.
It really does. You have to track localized sales trends meticulously so you don't tie up all your working capital in overstocked store inventory.
While your website is simultaneously sold out of the exact same item, this sounds like trying to ride two horses with one saddle. How do you balance localized inventory for the store with centralized inventory for the website without going crazy?
Honestly, it is a nightmare if you cheap out on your tech stack. You have to invest aggressively in modernized POS systems that communicate with your e-commerce platform in absolute real time.
So no delays at all.
None. The very second a cashier scans a barcode at the physical register, that item has to be deducted from your global available inventory pool online.
If those two systems are siloed and only sync up like once a day at midnight, you are guaranteed to sell out-of-stock items.
Exactly. So the software has to be perfectly synced, but your physical supply chain has to bifurcate completely.
Right, because you are now managing two entirely distinct physical fulfillment streams. E-commerce is all about picking and packing single items into individual poly mailers and handing them to the postal service.
But retail fulfillment is about stacking hundreds of items onto pallets, wrapping them in shrink wrap, and loading them onto freight trucks bound for a loading dock.
Which means you have to sit down with your warehouse manager and find out if they can even handle palletized freight. Because a lot of nimble e-commerce fulfillment centers simply aren't built for that kind of bulk logistics.
Yeah, they just don't have the space or the equipment for it.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. Let's say you've got the tech stack integrated and your supply chain is humming along. A huge part of moving into physical retail isn't just opening your own flagship store, right?
So not at all.
It's getting your product onto the shelves of established third-party retailers, moving from direct-to-consumer into wholesale. And that is entirely a people business.
It really is. This is where the skill set of the company leadership has to completely evolve.
Because when you sell direct-to-consumer online, you're pitching to the end user. Your marketing is aimed at, a 25-year-old looking for a cool product.
But when you want to get into a major department store or a high-end physical boutique, you have a totally new target audience, the retail buyer.
And these buyers are fierce gatekeepers. You can't just run a targeted social media ad at them to get their attention.
No, you have to hunt them down. You're cold calling established retailers. You're begging for introductions. You're flying out to industry trade shows just to get 5 minutes of their time.
And when you finally get that meeting, you can't just show them a slick website on your laptop. You have to drop physical product samples on their desk so they can inspect the stitching and the build quality.
Right, they want to touch it. And you have to come armed with aggressive, airtight data. You have to prove to that buyer that your wholesale pricing strategy leaves enough profit margin for them.
Because if it doesn't make them money, they don't care.
Exactly. And you have to prove that your product will actually turn over on their shelves faster than the established brand they are currently stocking.
But, even if you have the best product and the best data in the world, getting past those gatekeepers can literally take years. Which brings up this concept from the research about leveraging
Oh,
distributors.
this is a huge point.
Why bang your head against the wall trying to get a meeting with a senior buyer at a massive retail chain when you could just partner with a distributor who already has them on speed dial?
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that distributors essentially act as a trust proxy.
A trust proxy.
Yeah. The retail buyer is taking a major professional risk every time they put an unproven digital-first brand on their limited shelf space. If it doesn't sell, it reflects poorly on them.
Oh, that makes sense. Their job is on the line.
Right. So a distributor acts as a curator. They already have deeply entrenched, decades-long relationships with these retail buyers.
So if a highly trusted distributor walks into a meeting and says, you need to stock this new brand, the buyer is exponentially more likely to say yes.
It is a massive cheat code to scale your physical footprint.
It costs you a slice of your margin, sure, but you bypass years of grueling relationship building.
And whether you use a distributor or go direct, you have to be relentless. We're talking rigorous use of CRM software to track every interaction, every email, every physical sample sent out.
You have to follow up constantly because these buyers are just bombarded with pitches every single day of the week.
And the human element doesn't stop once you secure the purchase order. Let's say your product is finally sitting on a physical shelf.
Okay.
The in-store experience relies heavily on the staff working that retail floor. If they don't know the story behind your product, or worse, if they just don't care, your product is going to gather dust.
Wow, yeah. So you have to train them. You have to host in-store events, run live product demos, maybe give the floor staff free samples so they actually use this stuff in their daily lives.
You basically have to artificially manufacture excitement and knowledge in that physical space.
All of this relationship building and event planning is super exciting.
Yeah.
But it is also where digital brands can get somewhat blinded to the gritty realities on the ground.
The very unglamorous realities.
Right. There are hidden traps in physical retail that simply do not exist in the ether of e-commerce, and they can completely bankrupt an expansion if they are ignored.
So let's talk about that reality check.
Yeah, you're throwing in-store events, the old wholesale buyers love you, the inventory tech is working perfectly, you pop the champagne, but then you realize you forgot about the city zoning inspector who just slapped a notice on your door and shut down your grand opening.
Ouch. Yeah, this is the reality check that destroys overly optimistic digital brands. E-commerce operates in a largely deregulated, borderless environment.
Physical retail is heavily grounded in localized bureaucracy and physical constraints. Let's look at the financial shock first. E-commerce has a lot of variable costs, right?
Right. If you have a slow month online, your server costs might drop, your ad spend scales back automatically.
But physical retail is chained to massive, fixed, unavoidable expenses. Your commercial rent, your heating and cooling utilities, your physical floor staff, they all cost the exact same amount whether you have 1,000 people walk through the front door today or 0.
Which is why a massive financial contingency plan is mandatory, not recommended. Mandatory.
Safety net.
You need months of operating capital sitting in a bank account just to absorb the shock of unexpected revenue dips, because that rent check is clearing on the first of the month no matter what is happening in the broader economy.
And then there's the red tape. You go from worrying about digital privacy laws and cookie banners to navigating an absolute maze of local health permits, zoning laws, commercial trash collection ordinances.
And physical accessibility requirements for disabled customers, which is huge.
Right, ADA compliance. Not to mention sales tax permits across different local jurisdictions, highly specific labor laws for your physical employees, fire code capacities for your building. The list is staggering.
And non-compliance doesn't just mean a strongly worded warning email. It means heavy financial penalties or a literal padlock on your front door.
So what does this all mean for a brand's runway? If you are a founder planning this transition right now, how do you avoid letting these hidden compliance costs and endless permit delays bleed your business dry before you even open your doors?
It means whatever timeline and budget you have mapped out on your whiteboard right now, you need to double it.
Double it. Wow.
Easily. E-commerce moves at the speed of software updates. Brick-and-mortar moves at the speed of local government bureaucracy. You have to pad your timeline.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And once you do finally get the doors open, you mitigate your ongoing risk by tracking real-world data with the exact same obsession you use online, right?
Absolutely. You can't just treat the physical store as a giant static billboard. You have to track customer flow through the aisles.
So you're looking at what areas of the store get the most foot traffic, what time of day you peak, what specific items people pick up off the shelf but ultimately put back down.
because online, you obsess over website heat maps to see where a mouse cursor hovers before a click, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In a physical store, you need spatial heat maps to see where human beings linger. You cross-reference your in-store top sellers with your online top sellers to see where the discrepancies are.
And you aggressively gather direct customer feedback to figure out why someone abandoned a physical purchase. You use all of that localized data to constantly refine your inventory allocations and your staffing models.
Because a physical store is never a set-it-and-forget-it project. It is a living, breathing liability and asset all rolled into one.
So true. If we synthesize the core reality of this entire transition, it is that moving from e-commerce to physical retail is an exercise in extreme operational agility.
It demands a highly customer-centric mindset that truly respects the profound differences between online convenience and real-world sensory engagement.
Ultimately, your success hinges on the seamless, almost invisible integration of your digital data with your physical logistics. It is a massive undertaking.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it isn't. And, it leaves you with a really interesting philosophical problem to think about.
What's that?
Well, we've talked a lot today about using an established digital brand to launch and support a physical footprint, right? But think about this. What happens 5 or 10 years down the line when that physical retail network becomes the massive primary revenue engine of your brand?
Oh, wow.
How does your internal company culture survive that identity crisis? Does the very DNA of the brand permanently change when your executives shift their daily focus from optimizing screen time to fighting for physical shelf space?
That's a great point.
Are you still a tech-forward startup at that point, or have you just become the very traditional retail giant you originally set out to disrupt?
That is the ultimate test of organizational identity. Who are you when the screen goes dark?
It's a question you will definitely have to answer if you decide to take the leap into the physical world. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the consensus, keep exploring the evolving world of retail, and we will see you next time.